Imagine waking up each day wondering if you or your loved ones will make it through alive. For millions in Gaza, and for foreign workers risking everything for their families back home, this has become a brutal reality. But what if the true human cost of this conflict is far greater than what headlines reveal? Is the world missing the full picture of a tragedy that stretches far beyond the battlefield? Fast forward to 2007, and Gaza comes under Hamas control. Since then, Gaza has weathered repeated bombardments, endured economic blockades, and seen its people trapped between walls, both physical and political. Recent peace hopes, like the Oslo Accords, have faded, while new wounds are inflicted year after year. But this time, something even more devastating is happening. Since October 7, 2023, the region has been engulfed in war. Israeli forces have launched a massive military campaign aiming to dismantle Hamas after its surprise attack. Over 54,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, have been killed, according to local health officials. Entire neighborhoods have been leveled, and around 90% of Gaza's population, roughly 2 million people, are now displaced. Foreign workers, like Natapong Pinta from Thailand, are some of the forgotten faces in this chaos. Natapong came to Israel for a better life, working fields to support a wife and young son back home. Instead, he became one of at least 46 Thai nationals killed during the conflict. His body, only just retrieved, is a stark reminder. This war is globalized in its suffering. Yet the tragedy deepens. The Mujahideen Brigades, a smaller but fiercely active militant group, seized Natapong and 2 Israeli Americans, whose bodies were also just found. With 55 hostages still in Gaza and Israel fearing more than half are dead, the race to rescue them is shadowed by diminishing hope. Humanitarian experts warn the world is witnessing the unraveling of a society. Gaza is losing a future generation due to weaponizing hunger, said one health official, referencing over 300 miscarriages in just 80 days. More than 9,000 children are being treated for acute malnutrition, and at least 57 have died since March 2025 from hunger-related causes. Aid groups and international agencies are sounding the alarm. The blockade and bombardments have decimated food distribution, destroyed hospitals, and left the population teetering on famine. We need immediate access to bring in medicine, food, water, to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe, one aid coordinator pleaded. But delivering help has become a deadly gamble, with even UN networks being replaced by politicized organizations, and accusations flying that aid is being weaponized for strategic gains. All the while, scenes of families mourning children lost to airstrikes or carrying loved ones from the rubble echo through every corner of Gaza. The psychological scars, the long-term poverty, the lost limbs, UN agencies report that 10 children lose a limb every day, mean this conflict's impact will be felt for generations. With Israel's latest offensive, codenamed Operation Gideon's Chariots, and Hamas proposing a tentative handover to an independent Palestinian committee, the region stands at yet another crossroads. Is there a path to peace, or are we witnessing the prelude to an even greater catastrophe? And here's the question that should haunt us all. If the world's response so far has only seen the bloodshed increase, what will it take? What must change to finally break this deadly cycle? As we look ahead, the world faces a stark crossroads. The current path points toward escalating violence and deepening humanitarian catastrophe. Experts warn that, without drastic intervention, the region could spiral into a broader regional war. The suffering of Gaza's civilians already echoes through every corner of the globe, and the consequences of inaction will not stop at the borders of Israel and Palestine. Imagine this: continued blockade, the collapse of medical systems, and, according to United Nations reports, more than 300 miscarriages in 80 days, a number that shakes the conscience of humanity. Over 9,000 children are being treated for acute malnutrition. Already, since March of the year 2025, 57 children have died from hunger. Every day, 10 more lose limbs. This is not simply a crisis. It is the loss of an entire generation. One possible scenario is the total collapse of Gaza's infrastructure, followed by a wave of famine and disease that could threaten more than 2 million lives. Another is the risk of neighboring countries being drawn into the conflict, potentially turning it into a regional war with global repercussions. Yet, there are glimmers of hope. Hamas has proposed handing over power to an independent Palestinian committee in exchange for a full Israeli withdrawal, a move that could open the door to negotiations, though skepticism remains high. International pressure is mounting. Families of the remaining 55 hostages continue to call for a ceasefire, their voices rising above the chaos. The world is watching, and many governments are being forced to choose between standing by or taking meaningful action. Even the means of delivering aid have become dangerously politicized. The replacement of United Nations aid networks with groups accused of endangering civilians is a stark example of how every aspect of life in Gaza is now entangled in geopolitical rivalry. But what lessons can we draw from this tragedy? For viewers far from the conflict, the reality is sobering. Global crises are never truly distant. The food you eat, the energy you use, and the migration patterns shaping your community are all influenced by shocks in places like Gaza. The loss of foreign workers, such as the 46 Thai nationals killed, reveals how interconnected our world has become. If you work in agriculture, logistics, or international business, instability in the Middle East can directly affect your livelihood. This conflict also underlines the vital importance of demanding accountability. According to international law, weaponizing hunger or targeting civilians are war crimes. Only by refusing to turn away and by holding leaders and organizations to account can ordinary people help change the future. Supporting credible humanitarian organizations, spreading accurate information, and using your voice to demand diplomatic solutions are all concrete steps anyone can take. And here's a secret fact often overlooked. Behind the headlines, a quiet network of Israeli and Palestinian doctors, aid workers, and teachers have risked their lives daily to help victims on both sides. Their stories rarely make the news, but they show that even in the darkest times, acts of courage and compassion can build bridges where politics fails. So, what will it take to change the cycle of violence and suffering? The answer is both urgent and complex. It will demand radical humanitarian access, a shift away from vengeance toward negotiation, and the courage to imagine a future where economic integration and peace are possible. It is not just up to world leaders. It is up to all of us to care, to speak out, and to refuse to accept endless tragedy as normal. If you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and support verified humanitarian causes. Only together can we shine a light on the world's hidden truths, and maybe,